was quick. Gosh, it has been a while since I have done this. Hi, everyone. Hello. Hi. Welcome to my new channel. Nice and newly improved, revamped. Um, yeah, I've had this channel for some time now, and I actually have a second channel that I did actually quite a lot with, that I'm no longer doing anything with. So I'm excited to be back. Like this feels like good to be back, back in the game. I am streaming through StreamYard. So, I'm assuming, excuse me, that there is going to probably be a little bit of a delay on things that I'm saying. And so if you end up joining me live and we're chatting through the chat, the only downside to something like this is that there tends to be delays with the chat. And so anyway, but I was just saying that there's a lot that has changed in StreamYard, so this is exciting. I don't remember the last time that I've done a StreamYard. I think it's honestly been a year. Wow, it's good to be back, y'all. So, I've been doing a lot of like, you know, revamping of my content creation stuff, and so that's why I am going back into the world of YouTube and having a completely different path than I was before. So what I was doing before, for those of you that maybe are like new to me, my channel, or maybe you have been around for a while and you're like, what's going on, Amber? What's happening? Um, I am starting to move into strictly content creation in the space of, we'll just call it entertainment. So the plan is specifically mainly books, which is what we're doing today. Talking about books, movies, shows, games, things like that, but mainly books. So books have been something that I have been really getting into lately, and it's been a really fun passion of mine that I've just recently started to reignite that passion. So sharing it with the world, as I love to do. And everybody and their mother is talking about none other than Iron Flame. Super stoked. So if you are a Fourth Wing fan, obviously if you clicked on this, like you obviously have not watched, but read. My gosh, I'm getting my words mixed up. You've already read Fourth Wing. You're a fan. You are on that boat of maybe waiting, because Iron Flame is just, I mean, the chaos that is behind this book is actually really kind of cool. It's actually really um almost like it's just exciting to be a part of. I pre-ordered my book a couple months ago, and it is not getting to me until tomorrow. And I downloaded the audiobook yesterday, and I just never got the chance to start listening. And I have to be in the right mindset to listen to an audiobook. And so this was a way for me to be in that mind frame. So I thought it was gonna be fun to do like a little group listen, like a little listening party. So if you're here with me live, hello, this is gonna be fun. If you're not here with me live, it's gonna be fun either way, because I think that having a fun little listen of the first chapter, and then having conversations through the comments about our thoughts on this first chapter. So really quick, I promise you I'm going to get straight to the point. So sorry for those of you that are watching the replay. I know having these intros be longer can be kind of a pain, but I want to say this right here right now. This is a first time that I am doing something like this through StreamYard. Usually when I share my audio, for something like this where we're listening to, in this case, an audio book or say music, in Zoom, I know exactly what to do. I've never done this through StreamYard, so fingers crossed. Right now, I don't have anybody that's live to indicate that it's working. So we'll see. We'll see. And then as the chapter goes on, we will have some fun discussions. And because this is such a new channel, I didn't have too high expectations of a ton of people joining live. It was a really, really last minute idea. So let's just dive in. I might do more of these. We'll see. I think that this is kind of fun, just to kind of listen as a group and have reactions all in the same setting. So without further ado, I am going to share my screen. Once again, please, I'm gonna need some grace here if this ends up not working, and that's okay. We learn from our mistakes. But, I'm such a, like, impulsive person, and I had this idea today. So, I was like, "That sounds really fun," and so I went ahead and just was like, "Well, if people show up, they show up. If not, that's fine." What I want to do is I'm gonna, allow the as you can see at the screen, there's like the content warning. So I'm going to play some of those. I'm going to play some of the prefaces, and then we'll get into the first chapter. The first chapter is I want to say like 20 something minutes. I'm going to do this. Let's see. Let me see something really quick. Does it show? Yes, it does. 27 minutes. Um, I like to listen just a little bit faster. So I'm going to put it at 1.3 speed. That's my preferred listening speed. Um, so if that bugs you at all, feel free to, you can like, if you're watching this as the replay, you can speed it down on your end through the YouTube video itself. Another thing I want to also mention is that this is the first time I'm doing something like this. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get like flagged. I don't know if this is the same concept as like music is, because I've done it before where I actually get flagged for having music. But I've seen many people just straight up streaming an entire audiobook. Actually, there's Fourth Wing is on YouTube. Um, so there's that. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. First time for everything,
Iron
right?
Flame is a non-stop, thrilling adventure fantasy set in the brutal and competitive world of a military college for dragon riders, which
Okay, that is too fast. Wow. Um, let's try 1.2.
includes elements regarding war, psychological and physical torture, imprisonment, intense violence, brutal injuries, perilous situations, blood, dismemberment, burning, murder, death, animal death, graphic language, loss of family, grief, and sexual activities that are shown on the page. Readers who may be sensitive to these elements, please take note and prepare to join the revolution. The following text has been faithfully transcribed from Navarian into the modern language by Jacinia Nealwart, curator of the Scribe Quadrant at Basgiath War College. All events are true, and names have been preserved to honor the courage of those fallen. May their souls be commended to Malik.
Amen.
Part 1. An excerpt from Public Notice 628.85, transcribed by Sorella Nealwart. In this, the 628th year of our unification, it is hereby recorded that Eratia has been burned by dragon in accordance with the treaty ending the separatist movement. Those who fled, survived, and those who did not remain entombed in her ruins. Chapter 1. Revolution tastes oddly sweet. I stare at my older brother across a scarred wooden table in the enormous busy kitchen of the fortress of Eratia and chew the honeyed biscuit he put on my plate. Damn, that's good. Really good. Maybe it's just that I haven't eaten in 3 days, since a not-so-mythological being should have killed me. It would have killed me if it hadn't been for Brennan, who won't stop smiling as I chew. This might go down as the most surreal experience of my life. Brennan is alive. Venin, dark wielders I'd thought only existed in fables, are real. Brennan is alive. Eratia still stands, even though it was scorched after the Tirish rebellion 6 years ago. Brennan is alive. I have a new 3-inch scar on my abdomen, but I didn't die. Brennan is alive. The biscuits are good, right? He asks, snagging one from the platter between us. Kind of remind me of the ones that cook used to make when we were stationed in Caldir, remember? I stare and chew. He's just so him. And yet he looks different from what I remember. His brownish red curls are cropped close to his skull instead of waving over his forehead. And there's no lingering softness in the angles of his face, which now has tiny lines at the edges of his eyes. But that smile, those eyes, it's really him. And his one condition being me eating something before he takes me to my dragons? It's the most Brennan move ever. Not that Tairn never waits for permission, which means I, too, think you need to eat something.
Okay, I just want to stop this really quick. First of all, Taryn is my favorite. Him and Andara, honestly, Andarna, is they're literally the reason why I'm so obsessed with this book. But just can we just take a moment and just reflect on that last chapter from Fourth Wing about the fact that Brennan was alive this whole time, and this is hitting. This is hitting. Um, oh God, it's such a good book.
Taryn's low, arrogant voice fills my head. Yeah, yeah, I reply in kind, mentally reaching out for Indarna again as one of the kitchen workers hurries by, offering a quick smile to Brennan. There's no response from Indarna, but I can feel the shimmering bond between us, though it's no longer golden like her scales. I can't quite get a mental picture, but my brain is still a little groggy. She's sleeping again,
Hmm.
which isn't odd after she uses up all her energy to stop time, and after what happened in Resson, she probably needs to sleep for the next week or so. You've barely said a word, you know. Brennan tilts his head just like he used to when he was trying to solve a problem.
I'm sorry, you barely said a word. Mm, I think we all would be a little, I don't know, caught off guard. You've barely said a word. Who? I'm sorry. You just basically like what rose from the dead, and you think that I have like so many words in my mouth that are just like at the ready. Like I'm a little at a loss of words right now, Brennan.
It's kind of creepy. Watching me eat is creepy. I counter after I swallow, my voice still a little hoarse. And? He shrugs shamelessly, a dimple flashing in his cheek when he grins. It's the only boyish thing left about him. A few days ago, I was pretty sure I'd never get to watch you do, well, anything again. He takes a huge bite. Guess his appetite is still the same, which is oddly comforting. You're welcome, by the way, for the mending. Consider it a 21st birthday present.
I don't recall. This is just a thought that went in my mind. I'm not sure. Um, I'll have to ask somebody because I don't recall the time frame of how long ago Brennan passed because I unfortunately did not reread. I didn't get a chance to reread the first book to be like a total refresher. I don't remember how long ago in the book it indicates that Brennan had passed away. Um, so that's kind of what's going through my mind right now.
Thank you. That's right. I slept right through my birthday, and I'm sure my lying in bed on the brink of death was more than enough drama for everyone in this castle. House. Whatever it's called. Zayden's cousin Bodhi strides into the kitchen dressed in uniform, his arm in a sling and his cloud of black curls freshly trimmed. Lieutenant Colonel Aserai, Bodhi says, handing a folded missive to Brennan. This just came in from Bezgaeth. The writer will be here until tonight if you want to reply. He offers me a smile, and I'm struck again at how closely he resembles a softer version of Zayden. With a nod to my brother, he turns and leaves. Bezgaeth? Another rider here? How many are there? Exactly how big is this revolution? Questions fire off in my head faster than I can find my tongue. Wait, you're a lieutenant colonel? And who is Aserai? I ask. Yeah, because that is the most important inquiry to make. I had to change my last name for obvious reasons. He glances at me and unfolds the missive, breaking a blue wax seal. And you'd be amazed at how fast you get promoted when everyone above you continues to die, he says, then reads the letter and curses, shoving it into his pocket. I have to go meet with the assembly now, but finish your biscuits and I'll meet you in the hall in half an hour and take you to your dragons. All
Hmm.
traces of the dimple, of the laughing older brother, are gone, and in their place is a man I barely recognize,
Hmm.
an officer I don't know. Brennan may as well be a stranger. Without waiting for me to respond, he scrapes his chair back and strides out of the kitchen. Sipping my milk, I stare at the empty space my brother left across from me, chair still pulled out from the table as though he might return at any moment. I swallow the remaining biscuits stuck in the back of my throat and lift my chin, determined not to ever sit and wait on my brother to return again. I push up from the table and head after him, out of the kitchen and down the long hall. He must have been in a hurry because I can't see him anywhere. The intricate carpet muffles my footsteps along the wide, high-arched hallway as I come to, whoa! The sweeping, polished double staircases with their detailed banisters rise 3, no, 4 more floors above me. I'd been too focused on my brother to pay attention earlier, but now I blatantly gawk at the architecture of the enormous space. Each landing is slightly offset from the one below, as though the staircase climbs toward the very mountain this fortress is carved into. The morning light streams in from dozens of small windows that provide the only decoration on the 5-story wall above the massive double doors of the fortress's entrance. They seem to form a pattern, but I'm too close to see the whole of it. There's no perspective, which pretty much feels like a metaphor for my entire life right now. 2 guards watch every step I take, but make no move to stop me when I pass by. At least that means I'm not a prisoner. I continue to stride through the main hall of the house, eventually picking up the sound of voices from a room across the way, where one of 2 large ornate doors is pitched open. As I approach, I immediately recognize Brennan's voice, and my chest tightens at the familiar timbre. "That's not going to work," Brennan's deep voice echoes. "Next suggestion?" I make it through the massive foyer, ignoring what look to be 2 other wings off to the left and right. This place is astounding. Half palace, half home, but entirely a fortress. The
Hmm.
thick stone walls are what saved it from its supposed demise 6 years ago. From what I've read, Ryerson House has never been breached by any army, even during the 3 sieges that I know of. Stone doesn't burn. That's what
Hmm.
Zayden told me. The city, now reduced to a town, has been silently, covertly rebuilding for years right under General Melgren's nose. The relics, magical marks the children of the executed rebellion officers carry, somehow mask them from Melgren's signet when they're in groups of 3 or more. He can't see the outcome of any battle they're present for, so he's never been able to see them organizing to fight here. There are certain aspects of Ryerson House, from its defensible position carved into the mountainside to its cobblestone floors and steel-enforced double doors in the entryway, that remind me of Bezgayev, the war college I've called home since my mother was stationed there as its commanding general. But that's where the similarities end. There's actual art on the walls here, not just busts of war heroes displayed on stands. And I'm pretty sure that's an authentic Hieronymish tapestry hanging across the hall from where Bodhi and Imogen stand in the open doorway. Imogen puts her finger to her lips, then motions at me to join in the empty place between her and Bodhi. I take it, noticing Imogen's half-shaved hair has been recently dyed a brighter pink while I've been resting.
Hmm.
Clearly she's comfortable here. Bodhi too. The only signs that either has been in a battle are the sling cradling Bodhi's fractured arm and a split in Imogen's lip.
So I'm going to say this right now, something that I was just picking up on. I was wondering, so in the last chapter, in the regular version, not the holiday edition of Fourth Wing, it ends with, Violet being completely like out of it. Like I think she has like the poison, I want to say, like she's out of it. And then that last chapter is like Zayden's perspective. So first and foremost, where the fuck is Zayden? Where is he? I've heard his name once and I was like, I think we're all just like, give me more Zayden, but more so dragons. But what they just said, like the Imogen and Bodhi, like they look like they've been fine. Like her hair is like freshly pink. That to me suggests that she's been there for a little bit. So maybe it took her a while to sleep this, poison off or something. Because it sounds like some time has passed, but she doesn't realize it. Now, unless I misheard or like was not quite paying attention fully to the very beginning, I don't recall what it said about like if it was super connective of like this moment and then in this chapter it's like that next moment or if there's like time in between. I'm getting this sense that there's time in between.
"Someone has to state the obvious," an older man with an eye patch and a hawkish nose says from the far end of a table that consumes the length of the 2-story
I love this narrator, by the way. Love her.
room. Tufts of thinning gray hair frame the deep lines in his lightly tanned, weathered skin, his jowls hanging down like a wildebeest. He leans back in his chair, placing a thick hand on his rounded belly. The table could easily accommodate 30 people, but only 5 sit along one side, all dressed in rider black, perched slightly ahead of the door, at an angle where they'd have to turn fully to see us, which they don't. Brennan paces in front of the table, but not at an angle he can easily spot us either. My heart lurches into my throat, and I realize it's going to take some time to get used to seeing Brennan alive. He's somehow exactly the same as I remember, and yet different. But here he is, living, breathing, currently glaring at a map of the continent on the long wall, the map's size only rivaled by the one in the battle brief lecture hall at Basgiath. And standing in front of that map, one arm leaning against a massive chair as he stares down the table at its occupants, is Xaden. He
There
looks
he is.
good, even with bruises marring the tawny brown skin under his eyes from lack of sleep. The high slopes of his cheeks, the dark eyes that usually soften whenever they meet mine, the scar that bisects his brow and ends beneath his eye, the swirling, shimmering relic that ends at his jaw, and the carved lines of the mouth I know as well as my own all add up to make him physically fucking perfect to me. And that's just his face. His body? Somehow even better. And the way he uses it when he has me in his arms? Nope. I shake my head and cut off my thoughts right there. Xaden may be gorgeous and powerful and terrifyingly lethal, which shouldn't be the turn on it is. But I can't trust him to tell me the truth about, well, anything. Which really hurts, considering how pathetically in love with him I am.
Hmm.
And what is the obvious thing you need to state, Major Ferris? Xaden asks, his tone completely, utterly bored. It's an assembly meeting, Bodhi whispers to me. Only a quorum of 5 is required to call a vote, since all 7 are almost never here at one time and 4 votes carry a motion. I file that information away. Are we allowed to listen? Meetings are open to whoever wants to attend, Imogen replies just as quietly. And we're attending in the hallway? I ask. Yes, Imogen answers with no other explanation.
Hmm.
Returning is the only option, Hawknose continues. Not doing so risks everything we're building here. Search patrols will come, and we don't have enough riders. It's a little hard to recruit while trying to stay undetectable. A petite woman with glossy black hair like a raven counters, the umber skin at the corners of her eyes crinkling as she glares down the table at the older man. Let's not get off topic, Trissa, Brennan says, rubbing the bridge of his nose. Our father's nose. Their resemblance is uncanny. No point increasing our numbers without a working forge to arm them with weapons. Hawknose's voice rises above the others. We're still short a luminary if you haven't noticed. And where are we in negotiations with Viscount Takaris for his? A large man asks in a calm, rumbling voice, his ebony hand tugging at his thick silver beard. Viscount Takaris? That isn't a noble family in any Navarian records. We don't even have viscounts in our aristocracy. Still working on a diplomatic solution, Brennan answers. There's no solution. Takaris isn't over the insult you delivered last summer. An older woman built like a battle axe locks her gaze on Xaden, her blonde hair brushing just past her square alabaster chin. I told you the Viscount was never going to give it to us in the first place, Xaden replies. The man only collects things. He does not trade them. Well, he's definitely not going to trade with us now, she retorts, her gaze narrowing. Especially if you won't even contemplate his latest offer. He can fuck right off with his offer. Xaden's voice is calm, but his eyes have a hard edge that dares anyone at the table to disagree. As if showing these people they aren't worth his time, he steps around the arm of the massive chair facing them and settles into it, stretching his long legs and resting his arms on the velvet armrests. Like he doesn't have a care in the world. The quiet that falls on the room is telling. Xaden commands as much respect from the assembly of this revolution as he does at Basgiath. I don't recognize any of the other riders besides Brennan, but I'd bet Xaden is the most powerful in the room given their silence.
Duh.
For now. Taryn reminds me with the arrogance only 100 years of being one of the most formidable battle dragons on the continent can provide. Instruct the humans to bring you up to the valley once the politics are finished. There had better be a solution. If we can't supply the drifts with enough weaponry to really fight in the next year, the tide will shift too far to ever hope of holding the Venin advance at bay, Silverbeard notes. This all will have been for nothing. My stomach pitches. A year? We're that close to losing a war I knew nothing about a few days ago? As I said, I'm working on a diplomatic solution for the Luminary. Brennan's tone sharpens. And we're so wildly off topic, I'm not sure this is the same meeting. I vote we take Basgiath's Luminary, Battle Axe suggests. If we're that close to losing this war, there's no other option. Xaden shoots Brennan a look that I can't decipher, and I breathe deeply as it hits me. He probably knows my own brother better than I do,
Hmm.
and he kept him from me.
Oh, hold on. We can't let that slide for a second. Ouch. Ouch. That's the way I'm trying to remember how long was he gone for? Oof. That's not going to go over well.
All the secrets he hid. That's the one I can't quite swallow. And what would you have done with the knowledge had he shared it? Taryn asks. Stop bringing logic into an emotional argument. I fold my arms across my chest. It's my heart that won't fully let my head forgive Xaden. We've been over that, Brennan says with finality. If we take Bezgaev's forging device, Navarre can't replenish their stores at the outposts. Countless civilians will die if those wards fall. Do any of you want to be responsible for that? Silence reigns. Then we agree, Hawknose says. Until we can supply the drifts, the cadets have to return. Oh, they're talking about us, I whisper. That's why we're standing out of their direct sight. Bodhi nods. You're uncharacteristically quiet, Surrey, Brennan notes, glancing at the wide-shouldered brunette with olive skin and a single streak of silver in her hair, her nose twitching like a fox sitting next to him. I say, we send all but the two. Her nonchalance skates a chill down my spine as she drums her bony fingers on the table, a giant emerald ring catching the light. 6 cadets can lie as well as 8. 8. Xaden, Garrick, Bodhi, Imogen, 3 marked ones I'd never gotten a chance to know before we were thrown into battle, and me. Nausea rises like a tide. The war games. We're supposed to be finishing the last competition of the year between the wings of the Riders Quadrant at Besgaeth, and instead we entered deadly battle with an enemy I'd thought were only folklore last week. And now we're here in a city that isn't supposed to exist. But not all of us. My throat tightens and I blink back the burn in my eyes. Soleil and Liam didn't survive.
Oh,
Liam.
gosh.
Blonde hair and sky-blue eyes fill my memory, and pain erupts behind my ribs. His boisterous laugh, his quick smile, his loyalty and kindness. It's all gone. He's gone. All because he promised Xaden he'd guard me.
Ouch.
None of the 8 are expendable, Surrey. Silverbeard leans on the back 2 legs of his chair and examines the map behind Xaden. What do you propose, Felix? Surrey counters. Running our own war college with all our spare time? Most of them haven't finished their education. They're of no use to us, yet. As if any of you has a say in if we return, Xaden interrupts, earning everyone's attention. We will take the advice of the Assembly, but it will be taken as only that, advice. We cannot afford to risk your life, Surrey argues. My life is equal to any of theirs, Xaden gestures toward us. Brennan's gaze meets mine, then widens. Each head in the room turns toward us, and I fight the instinct to retreat as almost every set of eyes narrows on me. Who do they see? Lilith's daughter? Or Brennan's sister? I lift my chin because I'm both, and I feel like neither. Not every life, Surrey says as she looks straight at me. Ouch. How could you have stood there and let her overhear the conversation of the Assembly? If you didn't want her to hear, you should have closed the door. Bodhi responds, stepping into the room. She cannot be trusted. Anger might color her cheeks, but that's fear in Surrey's eyes. Xaden has already taken responsibility for her. Imogen sidesteps, moving slightly closer to me. As brutal of a custom as it may be. My gaze whips to meet Xaden's. What the hell is she talking about? I still don't understand that particular decision, Hawknose adds. Decision was simple. She's worth a dozen of me, Xaden says, and my breath catches at the intensity in his eyes. If I didn't know better, I'd think he means it. And I'm not talking about her signet. I would have told her everything discussed here anyway, so an open door is a moot point. A spark of hope flares to life in my chest. Maybe he really is done keeping secrets. She's General Sorengale's daughter, Battleaxe points out, frustration clear in her voice. And I'm the General's son, Brennan argues, And you've more than proven your loyalty over the last 6 years, Battle
Hmm.
Axe shouts. She hasn't. Anger heats my neck,
6 years.
flushing up to my face. They're talking about me like I'm not even here. She fought at our side at Ressen. Bodhi tenses as his voice rises as well. She should be confined. Suri's face turns downright ruddy as she pushes
What?
away from the table and stands, her gaze jumping to the silver half of my hair that forms my coronet braid. She can ruin us all with what she knows.
Huh?
Agreed. Hawknose joins her with palpable loathing aimed in my direction. She's too dangerous not to keep prisoner. The muscles of my stomach tense, but I mask my expression like I've seen Xaden do countless times and leave my hands at my sides, close to my sheathed daggers. My body might be frail, my joints undependable, but my aim with a knife is lethally accurate. There's no fucking way I'm going to let them cage me here. I scan each of the assembly members, assessing which is the biggest threat. Brennan rises to his full height. Knowing that she's bonded to Tern, whose bond gets deeper with each rider, and whose previous bond was already so strong that Naolin's death nearly killed him, knowing
No.
we fear he'll die if she does now, that because of that, Ryerson's life is tied to hers, he nods toward Xaden. Disappointment tastes bitter on my tongue. Is that all I am to him? Xaden's weakness? I, alone, am responsible for Violet. Xaden's voice lowers in pure malice. And if I'm not enough, there are not one, but two dragons who have already vouched for her integrity. Enough is enough. She is standing right here, I snap, and an unflattering amount of satisfaction courses through me at the number of jaws that drop in front of me. So stop talking about me and try talking to me.
Hell yeah.
A corner of Xaden's mouth rises, and the pride that flashes through his expression is unmistakable.
Aw.
What do you want from me? I ask them, striding into the room. Want me to walk parapet and prove my bravery? Done. Want me to betray my kingdom by defending Peromish citizens? Done. Want me to keep his secrets? I gesture towards Xaden with my left hand. Done. I kept every secret. Except the one that mattered. Suri lifts an eyebrow.
Hmm?
We all know how you ended up in Athbean. Guilt clogs my throat. That was not, Xaden starts, rising from his chair. Through no fault of her own. The man nearest us with the gray beard, Felix, stands, blocking Suri from my sight as he turns toward her. No first year could withstand a memory reader, especially one considered a friend. He pivots to face me. But you have to know that you have enemies at Besgaiath now. Should you return, you must know that Atos will not be among your friends. He will do everything he can to kill you for what you've seen. I know. The words are thick on my tongue. Felix nods. We are done here, Xaden says, his gaze catching and holding Suri's and then Hawknose's, their shoulders drooping in defeat. I'll expect an update on Zolia in the morning, Brennan says. Consider this assembly meeting adjourned. The council members push in their chairs and file past the three of us once we step out of the way. Imogen and Bodhi stay at my sides. Eventually, Xaden starts to walk out but pauses in front of me. We'll head up to the valley. Meet us when you're done. I'll go with you now. This is the last place on the continent I want to be left behind. Stay and talk to your brother, he says quietly. Who knows when you'll get another chance.
Ooh.
I
Yeah.
glance past Bodhi to see Brennan standing in the middle of the room, waiting for me. Brennan, who always took the time to help wrap my knees when I was a child. Brennan, who wrote the book that helped me through my first year. Brennan, who I've missed for 6 years.
6 years. There it is.
Go, Xaden urges. We won't leave without you, and we're not going to let the assembly dictate what we do. The 8 of us will decide what to do together. He gives me a long look that makes my traitorous heart clench, and then he walks away. Bodhi and Imogen follow. Which leaves me to turn toward my brother, armed with 6 years of questions.
Hell yeah. Dude, Rebecca Yarros, she just literally knows my reading type. Oh my gosh. So good. So good. Okay, so let's just like real quick have some discussion questions before I say farewell. First of all, that question got answered. How long has he been? We thought he was dead. Um, 6 years. So we have not seen. She has not seen Brennan for 6 years. Which can you even imagine? My gosh, just all of a sudden, like he's just there. I do have like a lot going on in my head right now. And I like a question that keeps coming to mind is like, is this like a secret society? Like, what exactly is this? Because I didn't feel. Maybe I'm just like that went over my head. Because sometimes when I listen to audiobooks, it goes over my head. So just know that. But if it went over my head, whatever. But I feel like it didn't quite just explain like what this group of people were, like their purpose, what like why do they have to keep themselves secret? Why is like there's hasn't been an answer of like why Brennan is in the position he's in. So, um, I'm excited for that to unfold. But like at the end of it, she started saying like this might be the last time I ever see him. So, yeah, that's wow. Okay, fantastic first impression, loved it. It was funny. I there was a couple times I got the chills. When, she brings up Liam, that was the most heartbreaking part that I cried pretty bad on that part in the first book. So that little homage to Liam, that was hard. That one was a little kick to the stomach. And yeah, what do you guys think? What do you think? Where do you think the storyline of like Brandon is going? Do you think we're going to see him more throughout the book? Do you think that was the last time? Um, what are your thoughts on like their interaction? Because he was kind of mean. Like, did I not? I feel like he's kind of mean. Had a little bit of a toot going on, just like irritable, you know. Also, I don't feel like it explained if Violet had been out for a period of time because at the end of that book, like she was the first book, she was like if I recall, like I remember feeling like Xaden was like, is she ever gonna wake up? I don't know if it was that dramatic, but I feel like there was like this part that like they thought the poison was gonna change her or something. I could have read that in like a fan theory, so I could be getting some stuff mixed up there. So what do you guys think? Um, she's still having inner conflict of being mad at Xaden. Quite frankly, like, okay, so I love this book. Honestly, this is probably like my favorite book of the year, Fourth Wing. But I will say it was kind of annoying that she got as upset with Xaden as she did. I was kind of like, oh gosh, this is anyway, so I wasn't really stoked about that. If there was anything that I didn't like about the book, that was the part that I didn't like. And so hearing her like refreshing my memory that was like that happened and it was something I really didn't like. Um, she's still mad at him. But like anyway, so uh wow, this is intense. And like now she has a secret she's got to keep. Her brother is in it. And then like the fact that they were ready to just like offer because she just knows about this secret group of people and literally was it I forget who it was that said it. It was either Zayd. No, I forget who it was that said the thing where it was like, yeah, cool. Taryn, the last time that he was paired with somebody, um he, almost died when they did. So this is, he gets a deeper connection with each person. And if it did, wasn't it like 100 years that he had chosen? Like he took 100 years for his next, when he decided to do another a writer, like to choose another writer. It's a long time. Um, so yeah, this is gonna be fun. Oh, she does phenomenal in her writing. I love how fast paced she is. Something that I love so much is that I love the writing of the inner dialogue of Violet because it is so similar to my own inner dialogue that it makes things so much more fast paced. I relate. I feel like I am Violet, and then if like in certain circumstances, like I wouldn't have gotten like as upset as she did over Xaden. I mean, I say that outwardly speaking, but I just you know. I anyways, but I do feel like I see so much of myself in Violet that like her inner dialogue is very similar to like my own way of talking and my own way of like thinking in my head. So this is exciting and I may or may not do one of these. I was thinking maybe in the future of doing just like the first chapter of some of the books that I'm reading, just like as I'm going, because it gets kind of confusing. Like if I do one chapter at a time, or is it like a couple chapters at a time? I don't know. So comment, let me know what your thoughts are. Let's have some conversations. I actually have, if you are reading this around the time that the release is, so November 7th, I do have for the month of November, this is like a little book club book that I have over on my Fable account. So if you go to Fable and you just search books and blankets, you will find me and you can join our little discussion group that we've got going on. It's a nice intimate group of some Bookstagram babes, and we're all talking. So I'm gonna actually head over in there right now and start a little conversation because I've got thoughts. All right, you guys, have a wonderful rest of your night and a wonderful weekend, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.